Good morning. I'm Deborah Kissinger. I'm your canon for Transition Ministries, and it is such a delight to be here with you on this day as you learn of your new rector who is coming. Yes. Yes. And I have to say, what wonderful acoustics and what incredible singing for the organist being away. It's just stunningly beautiful. Never doubt yourselves. Well, after that news, who could possibly be listening to the lessons? Let's see if you heard this part of the scripture. Do you not see that whatever goes into the mouth enters the stomach and goes out into the sewer? You think you'd ever be reading about that in the Bible? And it continues, but what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart, and this is what defiles. One of my favorite parts about August in Indiana is the Indiana State Fair. Anybody been this year? Anybody been ever? Okay, Hoosiers. Every year, someone from my family or a friend comes to visit me since I moved here. And this year, my nephew Nathan and his wife Megan and his two small children, Audrey and Jonah, Audrey who's 3 and Jonah who's 1 plus 1.5, they came. And we had a big build-up to going to the state fair because Audrey, the family lives in Philadelphia, and Audrey had never seen animals like this. And so we went off to the fair, barn to barn, and Audrey was a real trooper, no fear. She's walking up to the goats and petting them and checking out the llamas. She saw sheep shorn and not, and of course the pigs in the swine barn. But what she was really, really looking forward to was the horses. She wanted to see those horses. Now imagine a family trotting through those barns with a baby in tow in a stroller. We pushed and sloshed our way through, if you know what I mean, on the floors of the barns of the state fair in Indiana. And when we got to the back of about the third barn, there was a clearing at the back of the barn. The floor had no hay or no anything. In fact, it shined. And Megan took advantage of the opportunity to let Jonah get the wiggles out, and she took him out of the stroller and put him on the floor. And Jonah proved to us that he could walk, even run, faster than we knew. And off he took, and his father Nathan running after him. And as Megan and I looked up at the spectacle, we noticed in the midst of the clean, shining floor a rather large deposit, if you know what I mean. And so Audrey grabs my hand, and we trot off to examine this. And she looks down at it, and she looks at me, and she said, "Poop." And I said, "Yes, poop." And she said, "Mommy says everyone poops." I said, "That's right, everyone does poop, Audrey. It's a children's book. Those of you who are mothers may have read it. I read it to my daughter. I'm sure Audrey's mom reads it to her. The story to learn how to be potty trained. One animal after another, pooping this kind and that kind, so that by the time we get to human beings, we know that everyone poops, and it's natural. It's part of the rhythm of life. Everyone poops." And I said, "Yeah, Audrey, everyone poops, and everyone makes a mess of it every once in a while." Remember Forrest Gump? he said, poop happens, right? So, it's part of life. Stuff happens, things come up, and we make a mess of it, and it's important that we pay attention, watch out for those landmines and deposits that we didn't see coming around the corner, and if we hit one, make the best of it. Like my mom said, God gives you lemons, make lemonade. So, a lesson from Mom, everyone poops. The horses, however, were just around the corner, mind you, and we could hear the nynnying. And Audrey pulled me by the hand, and we took off while Nathan took care of Jonah's deposit. So off we go through the next barn, and Audrey sees horses, ponies, and then bigger horses, and then the ones that I have to look up at. And Nathan and Megan and Jonah were nowhere to be found, but we trudged on once again through another one of those barns with the floor, you know what I mean. And we saw the place where the horses were running and running. And I thought, wait, where are they? Wait, Audrey. So we look back, and just at that moment, around the corner at the edge of the barn, come Nathan and Megan and Jonah. And what does Jonah back in his stroller do? Tosses the sippy cup overboard onto the floor. And I looked in amazement as Megan scooped up the sippy cup. Nathan whipped out the hand sanitizer, squeezed it on. Megan sloshed her own water from her own water bottle on it and promptly handed it back to Jonah. And the mother and me flinched, and I said, "What are they doing?" And Audrey squeezed my hand and said, 5-second rule. Jonah dropped. Jonah say, "I sorry." Mommy, wash off. It is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but it is what comes out of the mouth. The 5-second rule. In most cases, with the 5-second rule, if you drop something, if you pick it up within 5 seconds, it's okay to eat it. And the same would be true for us. In most cases, if we drop the ball with something at work or at play, most of the time it's okay if we pick it up, say, "I sorry," and wash it off appropriately and move on with things. So far, Audrey's mom has taught us everyone poops, it's natural to make a mistake, and the 5-second rule applies and helps in these situations. Now, we have another mom in this morning's gospel who teaches us even more about life. This woman is a mother. She is a Canaanite woman, and she comes to Jesus after he has been traveling quite some way, teaching his disciples, and the disciples are simply not getting it. That's why he has to explain about what goes into the sewer and what comes out of the mouth. And so the mother comes to Jesus and she says, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." Now, a Canaanite woman is not one who is a follower. And so the disciples try to push her away. And Jesus, in his own way, he ignores her, at least at first, until she comes face to face and says to him, "Lord, Lord, help me." It is not fair, he says, to take the children's food, that's the disciples' food. It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs, to the Canaanites. Then what does this mother do? She pauses and she thinks very carefully and she chooses her words and she comes back and responds yet again "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." And Jesus says, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done." And her daughter was healed instantly. From this mom, we learn that we should speak directly to the person. Going to the disciples was not going to get the job done. This woman needed to speak directly to Jesus. We also learn that it pays to be persistent. Sometimes you have to ask more than once, and you may have to ask your questions in a variety of different ways to be heard. And that is what she did. And we also learn that when we ask, we need to know when's a good time to ask and when is a good time to shut up and listen. Here's the third mom rule. It's called, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them that way. Listen twice as long before you speak. For what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart. And if we're not careful, it can defile. So think before you speak. This mother, she chose her words carefully when she approached Jesus. Help me. And she did not take insult as injury, even when he called her a dog. Of course, there's a lesson from Jesus as well, and that is that whoever seeks him with an open heart will receive his blessing. Now, it has been my pleasure to work with your search committee. What does all this have to do with Drew coming, you're wondering? It's been a pleasure to work with them, and I have to say that they have worked very hard. And they have been practicing all of these lessons, these mother's lessons. Even though we didn't start our time together studying this scripture, they learned that we will run into deposits along the way as we engage in a search. And we did, and we will, and it's natural. And they learned that when we do that and a mess is made of something, it's okay to say, "I'm sorry," and to move on. They watched their words in everything that they did and said. They considered what came out of their mouth. They thought about it. They prayed about it. Why? Not to keep things from you, but to respect the dignity of each and every candidate that they got to meet. And most of all, they asked lots of questions, and they listened and listened. They listened to countless sermons. They listened on phone interviews. They listened to in-person interviews. And most of all, they listened to each other, and they listened for God. Very soon, your new rector is going to be here, and it's going to be your turn to practice what moms have taught us and what the mom in this morning's gospel teaches us. As you begin your journey, remember, your rector is human, and so are you. So he's going to make mistakes, and so are you. It's natural. Everyone poops. When this happened, the 5-second rule applies. Take note of it. Respond quickly. Say "I'm sorry" when appropriate. Wash off for forgiveness and reconciliation, and get on with the ministry. Don't let the messes bog you down. And remember, because you're going to want to tell him lots of stories, remember that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. He is going to be sharing all kinds of ideas with you. So try really hard to listen first and think and pray before judging or offering a response, because you want everything that comes out of your mouth to come from your heart. But most of all, in the depth of your being, what I want you to know is, like Jesus, your new rector, Drew, will love and accept and bless you, and love and accept and bless all those who come to Jesus with an open heart. That's pretty great, isn't it? Listen, Jesus says. Listen and understand. What comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart. Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish. May the months and years ahead with your new rector be filled with faithfulness and heart-filled service, and be more than you could have ever asked or imagined. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.